Awesome. Welcome everyone to this 90-day run. So exciting to see so many of you guys wanting to take your business and your life to the next level. So congratulations. Congratulations in making the decision to get involved and to be here. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of commitment, and a lot of dedication to be here. So congratulations in deciding to take this time today to invest in your education, because there's a lot of people that are not here and you are different. You make the difference from the crowd in your team, and this is a big deal. So I just want to congratulate to everyone that showed up this morning. I know it's a Saturday, but this is how it is when we own our business. The few minutes, I would say this call is going to be approximately 90 minutes long. It will go by very fast because we have a lot of material to share with you guys. And what we are going to be sharing with you, me and Melissa Castillo, she's a current Red Diamond in the company. Both of us are going to guide you through the skills that we have learned and how it allowed us to get to the success that we're having right now. So all the things that we're sharing with you guys, I wish somebody would have shared it with me when I started. Sometimes the fog that we have when we're trying to get to the next level is incredibly dense, and we can't even see our hands. Literally, like, we are so fogged up because there's so much to do, so many limits and beliefs, so much information, so much fear. It's this just so overwhelming at the beginning, and a lot of us, including myself, I felt overwhelmed, and I just didn't know how to move forward from being stuck or just getting to the next level with this business. So the goal is for you to start to lift that fog little by little, and that fog starts to lift as you start to do little things and completing the assignments. Remember when you got started and you just didn't even know how the products tasted like, and it was so foggy, right? And then you try the products, and now that fog kind of clear a little because you know how the products taste like. Then you went to an event, and now that fog clear a little bit. Now you kind of know how to lead a mega Zoom or an event. So the more that you're in action, the more that fog is gonna clear, and the more clarity you get, the higher that you're gonna start moving through the ranks, and the more fun that you're gonna have, really. So that clarity is very important. And we want you to be clear enough so you can start to see success, and that maybe is possible for you. Because at the beginning, we are so overwhelmed, there's so much fog that we even doubt if success is even there for us, right? Just like we can't even see consultant happening. The fog is so dense that we can't even see our own success. So on today's call, we're gonna talk a lot about our why, our vision, and our story, because this is the fundamentals of our business. Even myself as a 2-star crown, this is what I still do on a daily basis. It is the fundamental. I went to architecture school, and I had to take all these math classes and calculus. And guess what? When I actually got into the practice, it was basic math. 2 plus 2. Okay, so we always go back to the basics, and really nailing the basics is the most important thing. So when I made the decision to go on a 90-day run, my life transformed. And I'm going to share my story in a little bit. But first, I just want to let you guys that what we're doing is not easy. It's absolutely not easy, but it's worth it. And it's going to be a lot of work. You're going to have a lot of expectations from yourself. And you don't really learn something when you remember it, but you learn it when you can't forget it, when it is solid for you, where the goal to get to the point that you want to go to, it's part of you. When you have a very clear game plan for your business, this is when you are going to really embrace everything that you learn. And repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition is the mother of learning. When I first started, when I did my first 90-day run, I had no idea what to do. But I listened to my YouTube channel. I went online and I typed in how to blank, how to overcome objections, how to recruit more people, how to do a 90-day run. And I learned a lot from Eric Worre. I watched absolutely all of his YouTube videos. I transcribed all of them and I listened to them, and I listened to those videos until they transformed me. I got the value by listening them to those trainings over and over and over, not just one time. Okay, we want to revolutionize our thinking. I listened to some of these trainings over 100 times. How to deal with objections. I had this thing where I just couldn't deal with objections. I couldn't deal with people saying no to me. I just took it very personal. So I watched that training and I watched it until I could teach it. So then I taught it to my team and I made a recording. A lot of you guys have watched the recording. And then I did another training on objections. And then Purium Corporate asked me to teach something to all of corporate. And I had 300 people on that call. And I taught how to overcome objections because I wanted that to become part of me. And the only way for you to really nail something is to take notes and then teach it to your team and start duplicating the process. That is the only way that you are going to retain something, because remember, it's not about remembering. It's when you can't forget it, when it's part of you. Like you can't forget your last name, right? You're not just remembering your last name, you just can't forget it. So everything that we do, we want to embed it in our subconscious mind. And the best way to do that is to teach others and to pass it forward. If you want to become great at something, become a teacher. And whatever you want to be, whatever you want to learn, that's what you need to teach. Because in your teaching, you're going to become an expert. So today, take lots of notes. And the goal is for you to teach what we're teaching you today to others in your own way, in your authentic way. You are unique and that's your power. Okay, trying to duplicate someone else is inauthentic. So whatever you do it your own way. And as Jim Rohn says, formal education will get you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Okay, so formal education will get you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. So thank God for self-education. And this is what we're doing today. We all start doing things that we don't want at the beginning. Even when I graduated as an architect, I went to college, I did all these things. And then when I got my first job, I felt like I was a freaking intern. Okay, I was doing the very, very basics. And I was like, I didn't even need to go to college to do this. So just know that whenever you start a business, you always start by doing what you don't want. I mean, Ra has shared many times that when he owned his gyms, he was cleaning the toilets. Okay, he was doing all the things that we don't want to do. And in network marketing, sometimes guess what? We start by doing the things that we don't want to do in order to evolve and to ascend to the things that truly light up our heart. For me, it was to teach others, to teach you guys, to teach a team, to create leaders. But I knew that in order to create leaders, I needed to do what I want to do, which was to sell products, which was to recruit people. Okay, so we all have to do things that we don't want at the beginning. And your responsibilities will evolve as you evolve in your leadership levels. Once you start having a team, hundreds of people, thousands of people, you can't just show up the same way as you were a consultant. Okay, so just know that what you're doing now is not what you're going to be doing forever. And probably what you're doing now is not what you want to do, because no one really likes to be rejected, to be in the fog, to not know what direction to go, to be lost and overwhelmed. None of us do. I don't either. But it's just a step to get us to where we want to be. So with that being said, start thinking and start writing down as many notes as you can today, because this is going to impact how many people are going to be making money in your organization, how many people you're going to take to the next level. And based on that, you're going to be compensated. The more value that you bring, the more money you're going to make. And if right now you're not making money, it's probably because you're not making much impact. You're not serving enough people. It is all related. In my case, I'll share my story in a little bit. I will pass it to Melissa right now, but ideally, we need to want this as much as we want oxygen. And if we don't have the gift of desperation, it's okay. You can find someone that does have the gift of desperation. This is the beauty about our business. But with that being said, I want to pass it to Meli because she is one of the leaders here. Meli, where are you?
I'm right here.
Hey.
Hi guys. So it's awesome to be here, and this would officially be my second 90-day run. A little bit about my story, and I am actually very honored that Seema decided to do this and collaborate together, because essentially the reason why I did a 90-day run in the beginning was simply because she did it, because my upline did it. And I think that by even you starting a 90-day run, and even whether you have a team or you don't have a team, you're essentially leading the way, like you're the leader. So it doesn't matter how big or small of a team you have, because when I did my first 90-day run, I didn't have a team. I was just starting off. When Seema started her first 90-day run, I just signed up into the business. So I was fresh. So whether you are 2 years in, 1 month in, or 1 week in, it does not matter. We're all starting from a clean slate. And the good thing is that you're not doing it alone. We're all doing it together. Your upline is doing it, your downline is doing it, your sidelines are doing it. So we're all in this together. And as everything that we're going to be speaking about is gonna be correlated with one way or the other, because part of this is to actually build a team, right? And in order to build a team, you have to be the leader that you want to replicate. You want to duplicate that the leader that you're becoming. And I would much rather watch a leader than to listen to one. And there's a big difference between the two. And that is what has helped me become a better leader too, because one, like Seema said, self-education, like we're here now, self-educating ourselves, but also you want to do what your leader does. So if Seema does something and she recommends me something, I'm going to do that. It might not be to the T, because as Seema knows, like I always somehow do it my way. Like she would tell me, Seema, she would be like, Meli, do this. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I do it like sideways, but it works for me. And that's what Seema says, like, do it authentically, do it in a way that works for you. We have the guideline. It's up to you to pivot and move things around. And that's what's going to make you successful in this business. And one thing that I feel has made me successful in the business, I'm creating success in this business, is by being the product of the product and living by example. For instance, we were taught in GoPro, and this really resonated with me a lot, and it stuck. And I even went over this with my own team. And a lot of the limiting beliefs that we have in network marketing has to do with the backlash and the objections that we've heard. And what like the bad things of network marketing, or how network marketing can be a pyramid scheme or whatever. But the reason why network marketing looks bad is because some people, I'm not saying you, and I'm not saying any, but lying about the work that you are not doing in this business is what's making network marketing look bad. Lying about the work that you are not doing in the business is what's making network marketing look bad. If someone said, oh yeah, I quit my job, my full-time job, and now I'm doing network marketing full-time, you're not a business owner yet, you're self-employed, right? And like, if you don't show up to whatever job you're doing as you're self-employed, you don't get paid for it. So there's levels to this, right? And lying about, oh yeah, I get to work from anywhere, but yeah, you're anywhere and everywhere, but you don't actually work. Like, that's lying about the work that you're not doing. Does that make sense? So that's the part of network marketing that can be a little bit deceiving to some people. And then once they do it, they get turned off and they're like, no, this is a lie. This is why it's a scam or whatever. So you have to live by the example, and your team will do what you do. Again, this is a trial and error business. Like, you see what works for you and what doesn't. Some might work for me, and then another might not work for you, but then something might work for you that may not work for me, right? So what I'm saying is, find, like, you're gonna mess up, and it's okay to mess up in this business, because those are lessons being learned. If this didn't go right, then cool, like I can go left and learn something better, right? But building a team, like, I did not double rank from director to green diamond. No, wait, from executive to green diamond, right? Seema, what did I do?
You were a director, and in 5 days you hit executive.
And then from executive.
So in 5 days you got about 3,000 points, and then in 2 weeks later you hit diamond, and like a week and a half later you hit green.
Okay.
So it was really, really fast.
Well, the whole point is that I did not reach green diamond on my own. Even though I have that rank, I had that rank of green diamond, I didn't hit it on my own. I had to build a team. And with that team, like, whatever it is that you learned and all of those mess ups that you did, like, you're gonna teach them to your team. Like, hey, like, this is what I did and did not work for me, so I'm gonna teach you how to do it the right way, or what worked for me, because I don't think there's a lot of right or wrong in this business. But I lost my train of thought. Yes, building the team. So one thing that you're gonna find about this business, and it happens many more times than not, is that the team that you start with is not gonna be the team that you end with. So having that, we're doing the second 90-day run, like, I'm considering the second 90-day run for me as if I don't have a team. The people that showed up in this call that are already in my team, they just signed up to my team, and we're starting all over. So the point of it is to not wait for anyone. Don't wait for anyone. Don't try to pull people up. Don't carry other people's weight, and don't wait on your team. You're gonna build an empire with or without the team that you currently have, because you'll be finding a new one, right? We were taught in GoPro that you recruit one person today, and then the following day you look for their replacement, because everyone in the business is essentially replaceable, right? I'm replaceable. Seema's replaceable. Everybody is replaceable in the business, because of how easy it is to bring people in and, like, build another network, right? And you're gonna find there's gonna be a lot of frustrations, and that's how we're going over this. We're going over this call. Like, you're gonna find a lot of frustrations. You're gonna have a lot of hard times in your daily life. that may want, because it's easy to quit. It's easy. It's easy to just slack off. And I had many frustrations. I went from, I double ranked twice. I'm currently a red diamond, and that I also double ranked to being a red diamond. But it wasn't easy. Like you have to continue to build up that little callus, because the higher you go in this business does not mean it gets easier. And Seema always tells me, like, once you reach crown, you're gonna have a lot of responsibility. And I'm mentally preparing myself for that, because my vision is to become a crown. Right? One of the hardest times in my life being in this business was when my dad was really sick. Really sick. And it's really interesting because both times that I double ranked and both times that something shifted in my life were the times that I double ranked. When I double ranked to green diamond, my uncle was very sick in the hospital. And unfortunately, he didn't make it, but it was a really hard time. And I was crying to Ron Seema and being like, hey, like, this is going on. But they were there to support me. And I was able to double rank. I was able to still continue and push through. Again, when I reached red diamond, it was a really hard time in my life taking care of my dad and him being in the hospital. And then a month later, it led up to me being a red diamond. So it's about making that decision for yourself. It's about making, and we're going to be going over our why very soon. I don't know if Seema wants to mention something after I get started on speaking on our why, but the why is truly, like, the reason why we train so much on our why is because the why is a lot more, it's a lot stronger than the strategy that we're taking to build a business. Because if you don't really have a why and you're just lingering around because, the community is cool and like HJL and like whatever, like that's not gonna keep you in the game long enough. After some time, you're just gonna maybe find something else that sparks your interest, just how HJL did, just how maybe Purium did, because the products are cool. And then you'll just jump onto something else and you'll just move on. Right? But once you're deep into that why, it does not matter what it is that you do. It's the why that keeps you going. And Purium is only a gateway to that. It's the bridge. It's not the answer. It's just the bridge. Okay. So Seema, do you want to mention anything on?
Yeah, I actually want to share my story. I want to share my story very quickly because we're all the same. When I got into Purium, I wanted to quit my architecture job because I felt unhappy. I didn't feel satisfied. I was driving to work every day wishing that I could just be doing something better with myself. And I was also going through a lot of personal drama and my shadow work and relationship problems with like every single person I came in contact with. And I knew that I needed to make a shift. So I didn't get the gift to try the Purium products because at the time I wasn't very financially stable, even though I was being a very, talented architect. The pay was not as great as I wished that it would have been. And I was living by myself. And I know there's a lot of you guys that live by yourself and you have to pay your own rent. My parents, my family were not even here. I was actually supporting my family, sending my parents money every month, which I still do. And I had to make money for me and for my family because I had to send money to my parents. So I was very, very stressed financially. I was paying rent late, a couple of days late, and they told me that I needed to leave. So they gave me a 30 days notice because I kept paying my rent late. And I was like, oh my freaking God, what am I going to do? Like I only paid a few days late. But they just didn't give me a chance. So they told me that I had to move out of my apartment. And I was like, how in the freaking world now I'm going to move out and pay a deposit and the first month of rent? And my credit wasn't that good. So I was like, I need to do something. And this is when Raw was doing the transformation. And he told me that it was a network marketing company. And at the time, I didn't even register in my mind. But then he's like, well, you can make some money with this on the side. I mean, if people are asking you at the gym, anyways, what protein you're taking, what kind of superfoods you take, you might as well start selling this product. So I immediately called the 1-800 number and I say, hey, I want to sign up to the business. They told me it was $199 to sign up. I was like, okay, fine, $200. I paid it $200. And they told me I had to put a smart order. And I was so pissed off because they didn't tell me about the smart order. And I said, what do you mean? If I don't put a smart order, I'm not going to get paid? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay, what is 50 points like? And the guy on the phone, I forgot, I don't know who was back then in the phone, but it would have been hilarious if he still works there right now and he sees me at the two-star crown, because I was like, no, you need to tell me in dollars. Set 50 points. I was like, in dollars, I don't understand 50 points. I have a limited budget. And he's like, well, it's really hard to translate $50. And I only had $100 left. So that was really important for me to know what 50 points was. And he's like, well, 2 aminos could, I said, what, he asked me, what do you would like? And I was like, well, the only thing I'm interested in trying is the aminos. He's like, not the power shake. I was like, no. I only want to try the aminos because I want to grow my muscles. I'm in the gym and I can start my business with the aminos. So I was like, 1 bottle of aminos. And the guy was like, no, that doesn't cut it. And that's not 50 points. And I was in fire. I was like, what do you mean? It's like $50 for 1 bottle. And he's like, no, you need to get at least 2. So I was so upset because I had to put a smart order. And it cost me an extra, $75, $80. So I was left with $30 instead of $100. That was my budget. And I was like, okay, I have to make this happen. And I got my whole business started with the aminos. If you look back in my stories, I never shared the transformation. I only shared the aminos because that was the only product that I had. And I was struggling like you guys. I made it to executive. I don't even have a recollection making it to a consultant or director. Again, my upline Raw wasn't even on the business. He just gave me the code because he was introduced by Troy, and Troy had no idea what the business was about, what the ranks were. Lucy was in Miami, so I didn't get a chance to even meet Lucy. So I made it to director without even knowing. Okay, nobody even congratulated me or acknowledged me. Nothing. Then I just kept on sharing on social media. I would go to the gym and give a $50 gift card, and I say, hey, you should try this instead of that thing that you're taking. I can give you $50 off. And then the next day I will go back and say, hey, did you redeem that gift card? If you didn't, do you mind giving it back to me? I have a friend that really wants to try that can't beat this, and I don't have more gift cards. And literally, this is how I was so desperate to make it. So desperate. I was so broke. I was crying on a daily basis. Holly's here on the call. She's a witness of my desperation. I was having problems with Raw at the time. I was extremely broke. I didn't have money. I ended up making it to executive, and I saved all the money from my commissions. I sold thousands of dollars in products, and I saved $5,000, and I was able to move out to Culver City, to this little apartment that was full of roaches. But they didn't tell me. That's why they told me the rent was really cheap. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found the best place ever. And it was cheap, but they didn't tell me that it was full of roaches in the summer. Okay. The whole building was full of pests. And I had a lot of struggles. I would go to Lucy Mace's place and try to sleep there because there were so many roaches getting on Solar and my dog. And I was super desperate. I didn't even have money to pay for rent because I made it to Diamond in my 3rd month, but Diamond is not enough money to survive. As a lot of you guys that are Diamonds now, $1,500 is nothing, especially living in LA. And I was desperate. I started to sell things in my house. I started to sell my bike. I wanted to sell Ross unicycles, and he'll get so pissed at me because I was like, we need money. I need money to pay my rent. I would literally go to the cash in advance places, those little Mexican places that are all over in LA, in downtown LA. And I will bring a check and they will lend me $300 and then they will cash the check a week later. And I was always like, oh my gosh, how in the freaking world I'm going to pay this $300 in a week from now? I have no idea. But as soon as I will get $300 in one, I will run with my friend Maya. We will run because my car was broken. So I didn't even have a car. We will run to the next cash place and get another $300. So I would have $600. And then a week later, they're trying to cash $600 in my bank account. And I was like, oh my gosh, my bank account is in red. Now my mom couldn't even send me $20, or my brother. I was asking my little brother for money. And they couldn't send me money because my account was negative. So I was like, I need to do something. And I didn't want to go back to architecture because I knew it was going to take away from my career imperium. I got so many jobs offered, okay? So many jobs offered in the way that they were all tempting, that they were going to help me. I remember even Dave Sandoval offered me the job to work at the land. And I was even tempted because I was like, oh my gosh, this will be the solution to my problems. But I was like, it's going to take away from my peer. It's going to take away from Crown. I got all these other jobs that were coming to me, and I was like, no, this is going to take away from me being a Crown. So how do I make it to Crown with no money right now? I went to social services. I stayed in line, where the people need to go, welfare with the government. I was like, oh, for God's sake, at least I'm a citizen and I can get some welfare. So I went to social services and I applied for an EBT card and for cash aid, I think it was. I had to sit on a room with all these people that have been on war, that don't even know how to read or write. And they had to teach me how to put a resume together. Okay. And I was like, for real, like I can make the resume for the owner of this building. As a matter of fact, I can design and build this building, right? I'm like overly talented to be here, but I had to go through it because they were going to give me $250 a month, plus another $250 from EBT. So I was like, at least I have an additional $500 plus $1,500 from making it to Diamond every month. And if every month I didn't make it to Diamond, like I was a qualifying Diamond every single month. Even if I had 4,000 points left in 24 hours, and Raw is a witness, there was a month that I needed 4,000 points over in 24 hours. And I was like, if I don't make it to Crown, I'm not flying back to LA, because I was in Miami for the holidays. So I worked my ass off those 24 hours. My family didn't even see me. I was doing lives. I was call to action, calling my whole freaking phone book over and over and over and over and over and over. I didn't care if I texted them a day before and they say no. I was following up again and again and again. And I qualified to Diamond every month. And that month, it was December. And actually in November, there was GoPro. There was GoPro in Las Vegas. And I wanted to go to GoPro. My upline, Troy, was really against me going to GoPro. He said, you're not going to GoPro. You're going to get cross-recruited. You're not going. And I said, I'm going because I want to meet the greatest people in the world. And I want to learn from them. And I don't care if you're afraid for me getting cross-recruited at these events. I'm going. So I put together a fundraiser because I didn't even have $200 and something to pay for the ticket, and even less to actually rent a hotel. And Brianna's here on the call. I actually went to Vegas with Brianna. And Brianna, remember we stayed in a hotel that had like a hole in the wall? It was like really scary. It was very far from the event in Vegas. But we went, Brianna and myself, and we drove to Las Vegas. And I didn't have any money. All the money that I had gathered was from the little fundraiser that I needed, $400 to go to Vegas. And I went to GoPro. And in GoPro, I saw all these people that were making millions and millions of dollars. And I was really inspired. And I said, if they're doing it, I can do it. Like I heard their stories. So I immediately, it was in November, I had to fly to Miami. Right after, thank God, my friend like hooked me up with this pilot that gave me a standby ticket because I didn't even have money to go back to Miami. But I had to pay $60. They made me pay the taxes for the standby flight and pay taxes. I land in Miami. I had no money. I had to ask my brother for some money. And I told myself, this is the last time I come to visit my family broke. When my parents asked me to go somewhere to buy groceries, I would literally go to Publix, in Florida's Publix, with my EBT card, and I will buy stuff with my EBT card. And I said, this is the last time I am broke. I am changing my future, and I'm creating generational wealth for the rest of my life. So that I got off the airplane. I couldn't even take an Uber because I didn't have money. So my parents had to come pick me up at the airport. And I immediately made a flyer for a 90-day run. Immediately, right when I arrived. And a lot of you guys have come to that event last year, no, the year before, at Lucy Mace's place. I don't know if you remember. We made a curry, and we ate, and I did a presentation because I was determined that in 90 days, I was going to change my financial situation for the rest of my life. And I was going to do whatever it took. But I was going to make it. Or you find me dead on the side of the road, because I'm never again going to struggle with money. So I prepared this 90-day run, and I worked my ass off even until December 31st. December 31st, because the 90-day run started the first week of January. December 31st, I signed up Melissa, as she says. Okay, Melissa Castillo. She was a pain in the ass. She wouldn't sign up. I follow up with her so many times. Okay, Melissa is a witness. I even had to put her on the phone with Lucy, and we spoke for an additional hour. Every time I would talk to her, it was like so long, and she was so skeptic. She's like, I think I want to meet you in person when you get back to LA. And I was like, no, like this special is over on the 31st at 10 p.m., because I wanted to close the month with her on it so I could start the 90-day run with her. And she took a lot of work, but now she's a red diamond. Okay. And there's going to be a lot of people that are hard to get, but that you see that they have potential, and you're going to have to follow up a million times. And it's going to be painful following up, but they will. And in 90, I created that 90-day run, and in 90 days, I made it to Crown. Okay. So I went from making $1,500 to making $15,000 a month. And I was able to sustain that. And then I made it to 2-star Crown, which is a lot more money. And this is what's possible for you guys. I was struggling on EBT. I cooked curry because I didn't have money to buy anything more expensive, because curry was the cheapest thing that I could buy. It was rice, potatoes, onions, and carrots, and curry sauce. And everybody actually loved that curry. But I had no money. And I was determined to change my life in 90 days. And I knew that I had to do it by myself, because at the time, the team that I had, I knew wasn't the team to take me to Crown. I needed runners. I needed people that want it as much as I wanted it. And this is the people that you're going to have to find. And you may not have the gift of desperation, but you probably know some people that have the gift of desperation. We all experienced Natalie recruiting Karen, and Karen making it to Blue Diamond in 90 days, or a little bit over 90 days. But she had the gift of desperation. Everyone that runs fast and gets to the next level has a gift, or has someone that has a gift. So I wanted to share that story very quickly, because if I did it and I had no freaking idea how to do it, and I had no help and no upline, because Raw got involved when I made it to Green Diamond. That's when he saw like the possibility. Oh my gosh, it's happening. I can see this. And he got involved, and together we all made it to Crown. But at the beginning, it was all by myself, completely blinded, with no freaking idea of what to do, what to say, and didn't even freaking try the products. So it is all our mindset. And this is what we're going to help you today. So I know Melly wants to go over our why, and today's session will be about our why and our vision and our story. So let's just get into the work.
All right, cool. And it's really true. I was a pain for Seema. Like I still recognize that. I'm still very grateful that she stayed on me for it, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. Like I gave her the hardest time. I did not want to do it. I was skeptical. I thought it was a scheme and blah, 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 but she stayed on it and she saw something. So some people are worth it. Some people really are worth it. So, yeah, during that time when I joined, again, like this is, we're going to start talking about our why. Okay. And sometimes you may not even know your why. During that time that I joined, I didn't know. All I knew was that I felt lost. That's it. Like I just needed some kind of sense of direction. And I did not know why or why not I was doing things. And I did not have a job at that time. I had quit my real estate job and I had to quit personal training during that time to do more real estate. So things went sideways and I ended up removing my breast implant. I started making like crazy shifts in my life. And then I'm like, okay, fine. Like I'm already doing like some major things. Like I don't have a job right now. Like I just had major surgery. I just dropped like $4,000. I need to be able to pay for this for my health because I chose my health to remove my implants, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And in the beginning, it was only to do the cleanse. I reached out to her for the cleanse, not the business. And then she said like, hey, possibly like you might want to do the business. And that's how it went. It kept going like back and forth. Like she was trying to convince me for the business. But I remember when she said, like Sima said that she did like a little get together at Lucy's place. And we were speaking about our why. And she's like, why is it that you want to do this? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know. Like you told me to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Like I wanted to do the cleanse. Like I want to feel good. Like I want to detox my body, but I don't know why I'm doing the business. Like I know I need money, but I had so many limiting like money mindset beliefs that like I didn't foresee the possibilities of network marketing. I remember, I don't remember anything when she started talking about Diamond. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to reach Diamond. Like, I don't remember anything she said about Diamond. She started going into like technicalities and the chart. And I'm just like, oh, whatever. And it just started being on my phone because I wasn't like serious about it. And I never admitted it to her, but I didn't listen to her after that because for me, that vision wasn't there yet. And now I'm because I had those limiting mindset beliefs, I was always afraid to admit to myself that my why was always for me. Like I want something better for myself. And a lot of people are very afraid to be selfish with their why. Like, why is it that we cannot be selfish with it? Like, why is it that it's difficult for us to say that we want to be very wealthy and be able to use that, that currency of energy, that money for living a better life? Like, why is it difficult to admit that? In this business, it's okay to be selfish with your why because the only way that you're going to make it in this business is to be selfless, to help other people reach their goals, to help other people achieve their why. And that's the beauty of it. Like I'm learning little by little that in order for me to be able to truly take care of my family and truly be able to give my little brother the best quality life that I can possibly give him is by being selfish with my why and wanting better for myself. Right? So ultimately, yeah, you want to move, you want to be able to buy your mom a house, you want to be able to do this or that for your family, but ultimately it comes down to you and being okay with that why. And once you know your why, or as you're discovering it, you have to make a decision. So it's one thing, okay, yeah, I know my why now. I know why I want to be wealthy. I know why, I'm doing this business. I know why I want to make a lot of money. But now what? Right? It's a matter of now making a decision. And it's the decision to be disciplined and commit. Joe, you keep unmuting yourself. Um, so it's either you have that discipline. It's either you have the discipline or you're going to be disciplined. You know, either you have the discipline or the world is going to discipline you, right? And when it comes down to that, that's when you get caught up like in the loophole. That's when you get caught up in the matrix. That's when it's really hard to get out of it because you don't have the discipline to discipline your disappointments and lessons. And even, I wouldn't even say failures. I don't even think like in this business you can fail here. The only reason to fail is if you quit. There's only lessons to be learned in this business because you can always restart again. You can make one, maybe you can be like, maybe you can send out a script with one person. You're like, oh, you know what? It didn't work out so well. I'm going to try this other one. You just start over. You just pivot. You just pivot. Right. And when it comes to, you know, I do want to talk a little bit about like wealth and like money talk and like riches and money, not because I'm here to like mentor anyone or coach anyone on money, because I'm still unraveling what that even means to me. And I feel like as a student, as I'm learning, I feel like I can still teach because I'm experiencing it, right? And we had um, a session in GoPro, and we were talking about wealth and like what does wealth truly mean? And we were taught that essentially wealth is just a measurement of time. It's essentially what is left over after the bills are paid, after, you know, we got our groceries, after we're able to eat. Like, let's just say, if if you were an employee and you were completely let go of your job, which actually really much happened to many people last year, and you only had $100,000 left in your bank account, depending on the lifestyle you live, how long would that $100,000 bank account, like how long would it survive? How long would it last you? Maybe a few months, maybe less than a year, maybe a little bit over a year, right? It's a measurement of time versus what if you had $100 million? How long would that last you? Depending on your lifestyle, right? It's a measurement of time. And the thing is, many people work for their debt. Many people work to get the bills paid. Many people work because they have to pay their rent, because they have to feed their kids, because they have to keep the light on, because they have to have warm water, because they have to survive. And that's not a pretty way to live. But part of finding your why is to look at what gets you excited for what's left over when you get paid. Like, you get your bills paid, you get all of the priorities paid, whatever is left over, that's when we get excited. That's when we can start thinking about the wealth part. Because if you're living to service debt, then you just end up despising money, right? Because you're only working to get rid of it right away because that rent is due on the first. What we get excited about is what's left over. And if you're not happy with the amount of that's left over after you get paid, then that's when we can start looking at things and be like, oh, okay, like, well, if you had this amount left over after you got all those bills paid, like, what can we do with it? What will make you happy? What would give you joy? Right? And it's about creating a design of what you're going to do with what's left. A design in terms of what are you going to do with that money, or what do you envision, what do you dream of, or what do you imagine to do with that money that's left after we get paid. That what's left is like 3 times the amount that we had to pay when we had to pay rent, or when we had to get our bills paid, or the food, etc. That's the money that matters, what's left over. And that's what's starting to create that wealth building mindset. And that's where I am. Like I said, like we're kind of all in this experience and this journey together. Like, yeah, we may be in maybe different paths a little bit, but we're all learning about this together. You need to know what you're doing with the remainders of that money. And it's that's going to motivate you. If you want to travel, if you want to buy your mom a house, if you want to learn how to, if you want to learn how to invest, or you want to build another business, like it can be like, the gateway to it. And one thing that in the GoPro session that we had, Brian, who's actually the author of Building an Empire, he says the way to start is to pay yourself 10% as you're getting paid. So with every check that you have, you pay yourself 10%. You don't budge, like 10%, you pay yourself first, 10%. Because you are the center of this and you are the focus of this. You pay yourself 10%. And then another 10% you give away. And it doesn't matter how big or small your check is, and you're like, oh my God, but I have rent to pay. Like, oh my God, I don't have money. How can I give away 10% of my whole check? He says, give 10% because givers always receive. He's like, and he said, I don't know how it works. That's just the way the universe works. You give and you receive a multitude. I don't know. But even though like he couldn't verbalize it, in my opinion, what he intended to mean was gratitude. Being in gratitude for as little or as much as he received, he was still giving away 10%. And that comes from being a giver. When you're a giver, that means that you're in gratitude for what you do have and you receive in multitude. And then the other 80%, you use it for what's necessary. Then what's left over, even better, right? Seema, do you have anything you want to say on this before we move on?
Yeah, I love that. So what I do want is everyone to write down on your sheet of paper how much money you want to make. How much money will make your life so much easier. Write down that number. Does anyone have that number written down? Yes? Okay, so now that you have that number, triple that number. Because we want you to think big. Triple that number. When I started, I wrote down 5,000. I said 5,000 is going to change my life. And I was even afraid because I was making 1,500, so I said 5,000. And when I was told to triple it, I had to put 15. And guess what? 90 days later, I made 15. And actually, Raw made more money than me. And I was like, why did you make more money than me? Like, we're doing the same kind of work. And he's like, because I wrote down a bigger number than you did. So triple that number. And it might seem outrageous right now, like freaking insane, but that's okay. The other thing that I did was I created a check and I pinned it in my wall. I created a check of how much money I would have in my possession by the end of, pick a year. Maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year. I did it when I hit a crown. I wrote a check and it happened and it came true. So make a check and pin it, put it on your refrigerator. By the end of 2022, I will have in my possession, in my savings account, $100,000 for me to invest in something. And just make that check insane. Like my check, it's in the billions, okay? So you can make that check as big as you want. We want you to start tapping into that vibration. And we learned this from Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. It's in all books. Money, it's a mindset. And once you believe that you deserve it from your inner essence, not from your ego, like, oh yeah, I believe that I deserve it. I believe. But you truly don't believe it. because if you did, you will have it. So now what I want us to do is to write down your why. Write down your why. I'll put in the time. I'll give us 2 minutes. Write down why you want to do this. Could we just be as simple as 3 to 5 sentences? So I'll start the timer and write down your why. Okay. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to go 7 levels deep. So now we're going to take another minute to brainstorm. Why do you want your why? Why do you want the things that you just wrote down? Why do you want those things? Let's just go now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that I want to ask you guys why you wrote down what you just wrote down. Like why I want us to go 2 levels deep for now. We're going to do this 7 levels. Okay, so why do you wrote down what you just wrote down? I want us to go 1 level deep. So if you say I wanted money because I want money because it would help my future generation. So why is it going to help your future generations? Because it will make me feel secure. Why would it make you feel secure? So we're going to go 7 levels deep. So I'm going to give us 5 minutes to go seven levels deep. So now we're in level 2. Actually, I'll give us 6 more minutes. So let's take the next 6 minutes, 1 minute per level, so we can get to the truth of why you want to do this, because it's not what you just wrote down at the top of your paper. Okay. All right. Did you guys get to your real why? It's intense. Like I really don't even understand mine, but my real why, it's because it brings me security and validation. So that's something else to look at. So I don't want the money, I want the security. And I don't want all those things. I just want the validation that I can do it. So based on what I wrote at the beginning, I want generational wealth to retire my parents, blah, 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 blah. My real why is because I want security and validation to myself. So that is really what we want to focus on. Like, why do we want that security and validation? But that's really what's driving me to be here and teaching you guys. This is what's driving me to show up and grow my business. Because showing up here makes me feel secure and it validates that I'm capable and that I'm deserving. It validates what I want. So that is really my true why. And I know a lot of you guys might have something very, very similar, because when you dig down, those are the words that come out. I know there's top leaders that their why is control. Because they don't want the money, they don't want everything, they just want to be able to control their lives, control their closet, control the foods that they eat, control the house they live on, control the cars that they drive. They want to control the gifts they give to their parents. They want to control everything. So does anybody want to share your true why? Nobody? You shy?
Sure.
Yes, Ryan.
So mine got real abstract. Thou art God is what came up, and I kind of think it makes more sense if I go back. It came back to wanting people to experience the love of God, and that is inside of all of us. And this will empower me to celebrate more people, and then also, most importantly, celebrate myself, because if I'm not celebrating myself, I can't celebrate others.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. Wow, that's super powerful. Anybody else?
I can share.
Yes.
Okay, so my first, how it started off was I want absolute freedom to give and receive and to be myself as I'm doing it. And I said that this 90-day run will help me reach others and be of service as I'm currently taking care of myself as well. So that's what it started as. And then the second level was, since I was a kid, I never had freedom to be me. I wasn't loved for my parents for being my true self. I spent my whole life trying to fit in and be someone I wasn't. And it led down to like me spending 30 years doing this, right? Until I found Purium. And like, just so I'm not trying to like take up the whole time. I want other people to share too, but it all came down to, you know, like it's important to take care of myself and others because that is love. And then love is important because it's what creates compassion, empathy, and understanding between one another. And then my last one was, when we understand each other from a healing place, there's no hate, war, and violence. So, you know, it's like, we're all one, right? Like we all eventually at the end of the day want the same thing. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I love how it completely transforms, right? From like super superficial text, and it narrows down, right? Like you start this big and then you just like,
yeah, totally.
One word. And I was looking at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I finished before everyone else. Does anybody else want to share?
I'll share real quick. I might get emotional because I'm really in my feels, but it's fine. So for me, it's to really be the embodiment of the change that I seek and I see and the vision I hold for humanity. And it begins with our future. And what's our future? Our children. And I'm a mother. Ooh, here we go. So the vision I hold is to bring the awareness and the shift and the consciousness and the basic and back to basics of what we've all learned through Purium, right? it begins within ourselves and it begins with our food system. And I want to truly be that vessel to teach our community deeper. Like I see people coming to my land where I teach people to cook from the earth, to cook what's from the elements, what's given to us, and the freedom that that brings with what, I'm trying not to cry, the shift that allows our children to be the free thinkers that they are. Because when we impact our families, which impacts our children, that begins to create a whole new generation of beings that deepens the freedom that this world is so desperately seeking, especially at this moment in time, because it truly begins with them, if that makes any sense at all.
Thank you for sharing. I knew your why, so it's like so beautiful to hear it again. And we all have this medicine that we need to bring to the world, but we need to discover it. And this work with Purium, it's only, like Melissa said, it's a bridge to connect us to what we truly want, because it's not Purium, right? It's something more profound. So I'm so happy that everyone has clarity of their why, because that's what's going to drive you to be consistent, to show up when you don't want to. Because when we're not clear on our why, we're not consistent and we never get it. We never really get what we want because we don't even know what we want. So how's God going to give us something that we don't even know that we want? You know, when I was little, I believed in Santa Claus, and my parents will tell me that during Christmas, I had to put like a couple weeks before Christmas Day, I have to write down on a little letter and put it on the tree of why do I want it as a gift. And based on what I wrote down on that little letter, then I got it. That was my Christmas present, but I had to write it down, and I had to be clear with what I wanted. Otherwise, I was going to get a gift that I didn't want. So this is the same. If you want the gift that your heart desires, you need to be clear with what it is that you want. Otherwise, Santa Claus is not going to bring it to you. God is not going to bring it to you if you're not clear. Awesome. So we are going to probably go a little bit over our time. So if you have to go, feel free to hop off in 10 minutes. We do have, we're going to go over our vision. In this exercise of our vision quest is one of my most favorite. I did it in 2001, and literally every single thing that I wrote down in this sheet of paper came true. Even the most unreal things that I haven't shared with anyone came true. Everything comes true. So this is super important. And Melissa, do you want to add anything into that before we move over to our vision? Because once we know our why, now it's our vision.
Yeah, so I'm finding that a lot of these things I'm learning to do. Like this isn't something that I'm even learning how to dream, right? And like part of like my why, I'll just kind of like share a little bit, because this is going to go on to what we're going to be talking about vision. I simply just like started by saying like my why is to not feel limited. Like that was it. Like I deserve to express my freedom in more avenues, even if it's through money, you know, even if it's through like time, location. And then it went down to because I don't want to settle for less. And then it went down to because I've been conditioned to believe that there isn't enough for me out there and I am not enough. And then it came down to I wasn't taught to dream big enough, and that I wasn't good enough, and that it pretty much led down to I am now learning and believing that I am very deserving, and that is my why. That I am deserving of everything that I want, that I do want the control, and I do want the stability in my life. And again, this is something that I learned. This wasn't something that was 2 years ago. Like, I'm just learning this now. And like, your why is always going to change, and it's going to be more and more profound. You're going to learn more and more about what it is and why it is that you want it. And part of that is creating that vision. You know, how is it that you are like deserving? Like, how does it look like? Like, are you deserving to have the, you know, the dream of your house or whatever? Like, this is when visualizations start to come in. And I'm also learning that skill. It's a practice, right? Like, everything is a practice. Just like some things are very involuntary, such as breathing, but there's a practice to learning how to breathe in different ways, right? That's so involuntary. So are our thoughts. So sometimes when we think, we were actually taught to, we were conditioned to have those thought patterns. But once you start learning about what it is that you truly want and how deserving you are of it, and how you do have all of those possibilities, you start to now learn a new practice, how to think differently, how to unravel those like limiting beliefs and create new unlimited ones, right? And the way to start doing that is to start creating a vision, which is what we're going to be talking about next. What does it look like? And again, I'm sure Seema is going to mention this, but the how right now doesn't really matter. As long as we have the vision, like, that is good enough for right now. We'll be taking it step by step as we go. So,
yes, I love that you said that, because just focus on what you want. The how and the when, leave it to God. A lot of us are so attached to the how and the when that it never happens. I want to be a diamond by the end of the month. And you're so attached on how in the freaking world you're going to get to diamond by the end of the month, that it never happens, because it never does. When you focus on the how and the when, it never does. Set your intention, do your best, and then God's going to support you. And let it go. You know, that surrender that we have to work on. Set your intention, do your best, get clear on your vision, and then let it go. And somehow, magically, it's going to happen. I had no idea how in the world I was going to make it to Crown. It was actually like kind of impossible in my mind. I interview a bunch of Crowns. I asked them what are they doing, what do they have their teams doing. I looked at where do they live, what kind of clothes they wear, how do they speak. I literally like became friends with every single Crown in the company, because I wanted to find like the common pattern so I could become a Crown. But I had no idea how to. All I did is that I could just help my team get to the next level. So just let go of the how and the when. And what we're going to do next is a vision quest. Something that I learned from one of my mentors is lead from the future and act on the now. Okay, so lead from the future and act on the now. If you wear a crown, how would you act? And act that way now. Do you think a crown is not going to show up to the team meetings, or it's going to quit when 2 people show up to the meeting? Do you think I would have logged off if 2 people showed up to the call today? I had no idea how many were going to show up, but I was still going to do the presentation. Even if it was just me and Melissa, we would have done it with each other and made a recording for our next brand partners, right? So lead from the future and act on the now. We can't look like a nightmare trying to sell a dream. We heard that one before, right? So look at the Crowns. How do they dress? How do they speak? What do they post on social media? How do they lead the calls? How responsible are they? Are they showing up with consistency? Do they create space for other leaders? Look at the traits of a Crown and duplicate that. Success leave cues. So if you're not having, when I wanted to get to the next level, because I had my vision, I said, I'm not going to get to my vision doing 1 happy hour a week. Hell no. The week has 7 days. How in the world I'm going to get to the next level doing 1 mega Zoom a week? So I put 3 a week because Brianna and her team and Elisa are in OC. I used to drive from downtown LA all the way to OC to put together a happy hour on Wednesdays. On Thursdays, I had a happy hour in Santa Monica, which a lot of you guys came to that one. And then I needed one more. So I asked Lucy if I could use her place on Tuesdays. And at the beginning, Tuesdays were empty. Nobody was coming on Tuesday. And I was like, oh my gosh, no one's showing up on Tuesday. Everybody's coming on Thursday. Like, what should I do? Should I just cancel on Tuesday and only do on Thursdays? And I was like, hell to the no. I'm doing Tuesdays. I'm doing Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I had 3 happy hours where I explained the transformation. Now we can do 3 mega Zooms a week. But I knew that to get to the next level and to get to my vision, I needed to triple my investment because the amount of time that I was putting was only getting me so far. If I wanted to get to the next level, I would triple everything. If I talked to 2 people a day, now I had to talk to 6.
Yeah, and I remember when Sima was doing those happy hour on Santa Monica, there would be times where I had no one to take. Like, I didn't have anyone to take. Nobody would say yes to going all the way to Santa Monica, even though it's only like a 30-minute drive from where I was. Even then, like, that's a lot for some people because 15 miles can easily turn, or 20 miles can easily turn to an hour and a half with LA traffic. And I would go every single Thursday. Every single Thursday, if I did not have, like, even if I didn't have anyone to take, I would go. And like, even Sima would be like, oh my God, like, you're still showing up, you know, like, you're still showing up. I didn't really know why. I was like, I would still go, but I knew that it felt right going, like the consistency felt right, you know. And even then, like, when I also started, it's as simple as always showing up on social media and being consistent every single day for 90 days straight. Every single day I was on social media and everybody knew what I was doing by day 30. So by day 90, people were already expecting to learn something new from me.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up every single day, even if I was in a, like, I would show up authentic. How I was is what you would get. And again, that's how I actually started to create that brand for myself on social media, because then people were they saw how relatable I was on there, and I was still showing up regardless of how happy or how frustrated or whatever I was. Now it's a little bit different, but that consistency is what led me here. So it's all about investment, and your time is also a huge investment. Even driving 20 miles to a happy hour that you didn't have anyone show up to, like, that's an energy exchange. Like, you're letting the universe know that you're committed and you're showing up to those happy hours. And in return, slowly but surely, a few months later, I was able to double rank to green diamond. And it part of it was from that investment, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would let the universe and God know that, hey, like, I want to make it work. I don't know where I'm going with this, and I don't know how and when, right? Because that doesn't really matter at the time. All that matters is that it feels right now. And like, if you channel into that frequency, if you channel into that radio station, you vibrate at that frequency, you're gonna get there. And the mind does not know the difference. If you tell your mind, like, yeah, like, I'm gonna get there, like, I'm gonna ride that wave, I'm gonna stay in that frequency, I'm not gonna fall off. Kind of like, think of, like, have you guys seen like Finding Nemo, when they're like in that what is it called, like that wave in the ocean, and like, you just glide through it, and it just, you feel right, you just glide through it. And if you fall off, you fall out of the current. We're all said the current, yeah. And if you fall off, you're no longer in that frequency. So stay on. And it doesn't matter how. Ooh, it's the currency. See the current. Stay in that current. Stay in that currency. Ooh, bro. JP, always coming through. But yeah, like, stay on it. even if there's a day you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I don't, just be trusting, trust the universe and be like, it's okay. Like, I'm meant to have these little like down days. I'm going to honor it. I'm going to feel crappy if I have to. But I still want what I want. And that's the decision that I made. Like, I'm still going to be a crown. I'm still going to make this amount of money a month in a few years or next year. I don't know. But just convince yourself and believe it and stay in that frequency, and it will happen. Again, I'm still practicing it. I'm not saying this because I've mastered it. I'm saying it's because I'm experiencing it. And I also have those days where I'm just like, it's a lot easier to quit. It's easier to do that. But I'm committed to what I want for myself, and the how is not important right now. All I know is that I want what's good for me. No.
Cool. So what we're going to do is, like, I want you to grab a piece of paper and write the Vision Quest 2022. Okay. And what we're going to do is that we are going to pretend that it's the end or yeah, I think we should do the Vision Quest. Do you guys want to do the Vision Quest by the end of this year or the end of next year? Next year, right? Let's have a longer period. Okay, so Vision Quest 2022. So we're going to pretend it's December 31st of next year. Okay, so we're going to jump fast forward into the future. What I want us is to take 2 minutes to write down, what are you grateful for by the end of 2022? What are all those things that you are grateful for?
As you're writing this, smile. Smile as you're writing this, like that, Cody. Yeah, like that, JP. Like that, Yabi. Yes. Like, tap into that emotion too, because that has a lot to do with it. Like, breathe through your belly and be like, I'm excited. That's what I do. And this can also range in like relationships and location. Like, be specific with what it is that you envision your life with by the end of 2022.
We're actually going to break it down in steps. This is just like, what are you grateful for? Like, maybe you're You're grateful for being a 5-star crown and having 3 crowns in your front line. You're grateful that you bought a property. And
So this is business only?
no, this is just in life.
General.
But things that you're grateful for. And if you want to
Yeah.
loop the business in there, obviously, because that's what we're doing.
Perfect. Yeah.
And we're going to go down into physical, mental, spiritual, relationship, money. So it's going to be broken down into steps. Okay, so now we're going to break down our life pretty much. In this vision quest, I want you to write down, so number 1, it's your physical. How do you see your body in a year from now? Like, actually speak as if you are in December 31st of 2022. I feel I'm so grateful for dropping the 50 pounds. I am grateful for getting in the best shape of my life. I'm grateful for just talk about how you feel with your body in a year from now, speaking from that day. Okay, number 2, we're going to talk about our mental health. Maybe you're grateful that you became a meditation teacher and you mastered your breath and you calm down your anxiety, like whatever that might be with your mental. Next is spiritual. How is your spiritual connection in 2022? How did it go? Okay, next is family, relationships, or friends. So maybe by the end of 2022, you have a family, you got married, and I'm grateful I got married and I had my first child and I made new friends and my crowns became my best friends. Like, write down how you feel, what you accomplish with your family, your friends, and your relationships in all of 2022. Okay, next we're going to talk about career and money. So, number 5, what did you create it? I now own a multi-million dollar business. I'm making $250,000 a month. I am investing. My investment business took off. Speak from that point, career and money. Next, number 6, we're going to talk adventure and recreation. So places that you visited, things that you learned, maybe you're into new sports, new hobbies. And lastly is service and contribution. So service and contribution, maybe you give back that 10% Melissa was talking about, maybe you're helping your parents monthly with money, maybe you created a nonprofit, maybe you're whatever you love to do, service and contribution.
Can I ask a huge favor? I'm
Yeah.
mom tasking right now with both kids, and I want to make sure I got all the categories correct. Can somebody put them in the chat for me?
Yes, I'll put him right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So if you haven't finished, you can expand a little later. And if you have to hop off, you can hop off of the call. This was the main priority, to really get clear with our why and really create that vision of what we're going to be working towards for the next 90 days. Because this is the fuel. This is what's going to motivate us. So every time you get frustrated and you want to quit, and all of a sudden you start, bringing your pattern over and over, some of our patterns that take us away, you can pull up this sheet, and I suggest that you put him somewhere. Like I have mine, I'm gonna pin him in my office. I usually pin him on a cork board that I have right here, because I want to see this every single day, because we forget and we get distracted and we decided to do another thing and another thing and another thing, and this keeps getting pushed to next year and the following year and the following year. But what we're going to do next is we're going to talk a little bit about our story. We have already done this training many, many times. I've done this training so many times with mentors, with experts, with myself, and with you guys. So we do have a lot of recordings about our story. So if you have to hop off, you can watch that recording later, or you can watch this recording later. I'm going to post this recording. But what I want us is to talk about our story, because one of our assignments is about our story. So what I want to do is I want to go over the assignment for the month. So we are breaking it down into 4 income producing assignments that are going to happen in September. So we are all responsible for completing the assignments each week. Okay, so every week you have to complete the assignment. And you can let your upline know that you're doing this 90-day run. So they can check in with you. Hey, did you complete your assignment? How far did you get? If you want them to hold you accountable, or you can hold yourself accountable. You are a grown-up, you're a leader, and we know that we have to complete the assignment by the end of the week. It's super important. So what I want to do is I want to share the screen with this 4 very easy assignments that we can all complete during the month. Okay, so let me pull this one first, and we're going to be posting this on the group. Okay, so this is the Melissa, do you want to go over the assignment? Do you want me to cover that?
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yes, let me make the screen bigger.
Nice. So I'll go over the first week. And okay, so the assignment for the first week is to not execute it at 100. The reason why we're asking you for week 1 is to start sharing your story 50 times is so that you can mess up as many times as you can, so that then you can make it better and perfect it. And it's just gonna come very naturally to you. We find that when you try to perfect it and you work on it and you study it and you try to get it right every single time, you just don't end up doing it ever. So the best way to start perfecting this, or just even getting better at it, is by simply doing it, even though it doesn't come out the way you'd like it to the first time. So share it 50 times in 1 week. It's very much doable. This can look in different forms, through Instagram stories, through IGTV, through Facebook, through Reels, and making sure that you're consistent with the story. So like that, you don't always change it up. Yeah, there's little like things that you can change up here and there. But yeah, staying consistent with saying it 50 times. And has anyone, do you guys know the format of saying your story?
Yeah, so we're gonna go over that after we're done with the assignments. There is a recording that has the whole format. It's already on the HAL, but we are gonna go over that right after we're done with the assignments.
Mhm. Okay.
I want to add something to what you said. The goal is to say your story 50 times, even if you repeat it to your partner 50 times. Okay, ideally you want to do 100. 50 times is just the minimum, barest minimum. You want to do it 100 times. I repeated my story 100 times with Raw, and we took turns. And he will time me, and then he will go and he'll share my story, and then I will go and he'll share my story, and then he will go and I'll share my story. Like literally, we looked like crazy people in our kitchen, but we were sharing our stories 100 times to each other. So if you feel comfortable doing it on Instagram and story lives, I did it when I was doing my 100. I did it on Instagram, and I would put it in my stories. Hey, I have a lot of new followers. A lot of you guys don't know me, so let me introduce myself and share my story really quickly. And I will share it. Then I will go into Clubhouse, and I will go to a channel that had some sort of interest, that had a little amount of people. And when they allowed me to speak, I'll say, hey guys, I want to say something, but first let me share my story really quickly, because I feel my story can add on to the topic that we're discussing. And I literally will go to Clubhouse and share my story. So share your story at least 50 times. We said 50. If I was you, I would do 100, because we had to do 100. Okay, Melly?
For week 2?
Yeah.
So week 2, and again, like we're going to be going over these as we do each call every weekend. The point is to do a video on IGTV explaining the ULT and tag 10 people in 1 week. So, but what we mean by tag 10 people is you're going to prospect. You're going to reach out to someone and say like, hey, like you're either they've already been interested, doesn't matter if it's a follow-up or whatever the case may be. Like, hey, like I just wanted to reach out to you. I made this video explaining the ULT. I knew you were interested and curious about it. Here is a video that I feel like will resonate with you and allow you to learn a little bit more about it. The simple things like that, as long as you tag 10 people within that week, and this is going to be for week 2. It doesn't have to be extremely long. A lot of people, once they see the number that's above, like even above 15 minutes, like that just extends it too much. Again, like do with what you feel comfortable in sharing. If you feel like you have to go in detail with the ULT, you don't really have to. The mega zooms that Seema and I have made, they have gone over like 30 minutes, but you can definitely do it in less than that. You don't have to explain everything in detail. You can just make a quick 10-minute video and that's enough. Again, like this is just for you to start learning. This is just for you to start creating like your own brand, start getting comfortable getting uncomfortable. And this is awesome. This is an awesome like marketing tool. Like you're gonna have this one video, you're gonna make this one video in this week, and then you might even just be using it for like a whole 5-6 months until you decide it's time to make a new an upgraded one, an updated one. So this is also an investment for the second one. Don't be afraid to do it. And yeah, is there anything?
Can I add something to that, Melly? So the goal, guys, is to have this video posted and tag those prospects that Melissa said in there. But ideally, this is a way to keep a tracking sheet, because every single person that's ever been interested on the transformation, you tag him in the comments. So then guess what? You can go back to your comments and see everyone that you tagged last month, in the previous month, in a year from now. It's a very easy way to keep in track. And guess what? If you clicked on their profile, you can go to messages. And if you're prospecting on Instagram, you know exactly who those people are and what was the last thing that you said during that conversation. I want to share my screen because I actually never done it on IGTV. I done it on my Instagram Reels, but I did do the business opportunity, and it has worked like a charm. Because when people are interested in the business, I ask them, hey, would you have 30 minutes to watch a recording that I made explaining the business? And if they said yes, I'm like, okay, I'll send you the link. Would you be able to send me a thumbs up when you're done watching it? And they all say yes. So what do? I send them the Instagram link to my IGTV and I tag them in the comments. So today, for instance, this morning, this is my Instagram. I go into my IGTVs, I go into business presentation, for example, and I go back into my comments, if you see here, and here I tag all those people that are interested in the business. So now it's super easy for me to go back in here. Let's say this guy, Ingelos. Okay, let's say I click on this guy, he said he was interested. I'm gonna go back into messages. How do I go into my messages? I don't know how to use it in the computer.
Go to your messages and search his name.
Okay. I don't know where to search. I feel like a beginner here. But let's say this girl. Okay, she asked me. Oh no, she asked me about the transformation. Hold on. This guy, Ingelos, here. See, I tagged him into my business opportunity. Now I also send him the link. And then I say, would you have 30 minutes to watch a recording I made to explain the opportunity? He's like, of course, yes. Awesome. Can you send me a thumbs up when you're done watching it? And then he said yes. So I send him the link. Actually, he didn't say yes there, but he said yes here. Oh, I thought he did say yes. Anyways, I send him the link. He sent me a thumbs up. So he's done watching the recording. So now I have to follow up. Okay, so this is amazing because every time I want to go back and see who in the world I prospect a month ago, because I don't remember who I prospect a month ago, I go in here and I look. Who is it that I prospect? I mean, this girl, I don't even know who she is, or it's a he. Okay, and I still don't know how to go to the things for the messages, but you guys get the point, right? So it's an on-running list of people that you have prospected. I added my Mega Zoom in my IGTV, so I just added it today. It's a little bit too long, so I want to shorten it down. But if you have done a Mega Zoom, you can start by using that already, or redo one that is 15 to 30 minutes, no longer than that. I also did another one here. So this one is my 30-minute, I made it 15 minutes. And I explain all the products here. I thought I pulled them up. Yeah, I explained the products without the products, apparently. But you should be making one of these and tagging those people that are interested in the transformation. So you're not sending links, you do it directly from the app. It's so much easier. And then you can repurpose this video. So that is the assignment for the second week. So we have to tag at least 10 people on that video. That means that we need to at least have 10 people in the funnel.
Mhm. Now for week 3, Cody, did you have a question?
Yeah, 2 things. So you said
Cody,
you
we're gonna go on questions at the end because we have to run down through more stuff.
Okay. For week 3, you make your own mega Zoom and you invite your prospects, you invite your guests. So you want to ideally have it be 30 minutes long. Again, it doesn't have to be 1 hour like we've done before. But whether you're in this business, you've been in business for 2 years, 1 year, 1 week, you are capable of doing your own mega Zoom. Just because, you know, the top leaders of the company do it or the top leaders in this organization do it does not mean that you cannot do your own mega Zoom. It can be scary, but that's part of it. That's part of the process. Like if you wrote on your goals, on your why, or what we wrote about, and you wrote a number on down with the dollar sign and a few commas, that's going to require you to create your own mega Zoom and be uncomfortable. So you're going to do your own mega Zoom. You're going to invite prospects. I find that when I do mega Zooms and I start prospecting 1 week before, it just doesn't work so well. Like I find that when I prospect and invite people maybe 3 days before max, people tend to show up more. So that's just my strategy. Again, like see what works and play with it. Okay, this is not the only mega Zoom that you can do. If you want to do a bi-weekly one, if you want to do a weekly one, if you want to do more than one in 1 week, it's you can create your own flyer. Like maybe we're showing you this now so that you can at least prepare and like keep in mind what's coming, and so that you can start preparing on how you're going to do it. And she also put a link there that you can follow. So the guidelines are already there. Like we've done it already. So all you have to do is replicate it and just make it your own. I don't know, depending on like what Seema suggests, but if you are close to one another, and you want to, and you're in the same vertical downline, not sideline, same vertical down. No, Seema?
No, everybody do your own. Like you're all leaders. Like I'm not doing Melissa's mega Zooms. So all of you guys should be doing your own.
Yeah. I mean, I've done them all I've done it with someone, I've done it by myself. And either way, like it's still great. It's still great to first do one on your own, and then you can start playing with it and doing with other people. But this is what gets you into like that leadership role, just doing a mega Zoom, you know. And if only 2 people show up, then cool. You can always improvise. You can always be like, awesome, thank you for showing up. I wanted this to be a very intimate call so that I can answer any questions that you may have towards the end or anything like that. You can always improvise, but don't be afraid. I mean, even if you are afraid, do it anyway. Yeah. Anything you want to say about week 3, Seema?
No, I think that's great. Just
Okay.
It's going to be super mega uncomfortable. But like you said, this is part of it's a responsibility to get to the next level. So if you don't want to do it, then you're not really ready to get to the next level.
Yeah. And like no one gave us a script to do this call, for instance. Like Seema and I just put it together and we're like, so we're going to talk about, and this is what's going to happen. Like no one is giving us any scripts. No one is giving us anything to follow. So sometimes like to be a leader, you just have to take that initiative to just be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. The cool thing is that like, even with the Facebook group that we have, like Seema created that guideline for us. Like Ron and Seema worked on it. So it's there, the outline is there. You just have to replicate it. And if you want to do your own, then, do your own. But no one essentially taught us how to do this. You know what I mean? So yeah, for week 4, you're going to start your own ULT challenge and promote it on social media. And as you see, like, the reason why we crafted it in this way from week 1 to week 3 is so that by week 4, you already have the tools to be successful for this challenge. You're going to share your story 50 times. You're going to share that same story in your Mega Zoom. You're going to make a video on IGTV. You're going to get comfortable making a video. So by the time that you do your Mega Zoom live, you already have that little practice, that little muscle starting to build up. And by the time that you do your own ULT challenge, you're already a pro. You're essentially already in the flow of doing all of these things because you practice these skills these 3 weeks before, right? And then all the details to create a ULT challenge are there. I made so many ULT challenges almost every month, and that's what got me to Green Diamond. And I didn't care how many people were gonna sign up or not. Like, I would say, oh, I have these amount of spots left. Who wants to join? And I didn't. There was a point where I had almost 30 to 40 people in 1 month for a ULT challenge, because I was being consistent. So as long as you're consistent with these 3 weeks, by week 4, you should have a good amount of prospects ready and loaded. And by the time that you do, for instance, your Mega Zoom on week 3, you can announce it on that Mega Zoom, hey, I'm going to be doing a challenge. So all of this complements each other. It's a system, just like the ULT.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I think, and then the last one is the challenge. So Melissa just went through that. There are some flyers. I personally absolutely love how Alexis does her flyers. So I put 3 examples of the flyers that Alexis has done, because she also had a lot of success. And I want to share them with the screen really quick, because she makes them in a way that they're very appealing to the eye. Okay, she puts befores and after photos, 30-day gut reset, the benefits, a little information here, and then the start date. That's all you need. And then there's some slides, and then you can add a couple more things on the slides. Okay, but the front one.
Did you click it?
I clicked it from the PDF. Yeah.
I just see the 90-day run assignment page.
Oh, okay. Let me reshare the screen then. Yeah, I clicked the sheet and it opened a new one.
I saw the mouse moving. I was like, I don't
Here. Thank you, JP. So the big title, 30-day reset, the benefits, it's never too late to transform your life, and then the start date. That's all you need. But you also need these photos. People are visual. If you just put text with no photos, it's not very attractive. And then you can put a carousel and add more stuff, and more testimonials if you want. I suggest that you do that. Let me open another one, because she did a great job, and I always love her flyers. Where did the flyer go? Let's see, another one. Let me share the screen again. And she's done many. Okay, this is how she got through Fast Start Executive. 30-day summer body transformation, join me, start date, benefits, super easy and super convenient, in a couple of transformation photos. Okay, and then you can add more on the carousel. If people are interested, they will click on the carousel, but the main page has to have photos. If it doesn't have photos, it's boring. Okay, so this is another example. You see, they're very, very easy to make, and just the information that you need. People want the benefits, and they want to see that someone did it and that they can do it, and when they can start. That's all we need in the flyer. Okay, so there are a couple of examples there for the transformation. So guys, look at those examples. Canvas, you can do them in Canvas, super easy. So at the end of the month, you should have your challenge, and you should have that video. You should be feeling a lot more comfortable, and we are going to move on to the next month. So those are the 4 assignments for this month. Does anyone, I'm gonna take 2 questions. And then we're gonna go over very briefly through the story. No?
Ima, is that 90-day run assignment, are you posting that on the HJL?
Yes,
Okay.
I actually have it ready on my screen to be posted. I just didn't want to press enter until we
Okay.
were done with this, because I was like, oh, maybe they already see the assignment, they're gonna sign off, I don't know what they're gonna do. So yeah,
Okay, awesome, thank you.
I'll be posting it after the call. Any other questions? No? Okay. I'll post everything on the Facebook group. And I'll post this recording too. Just so you guys know, our next meeting is October 2nd. Okay. So moving forward, Melly, do you want to add anything else to that? I'm going to move on to the stories.
Nope, we're good.
Okay, cool. So whoever doesn't know how to do a story, how to craft your story, I'm going to take the next 10 minutes for that. And then we can start sharing if you guys have free time. If not, you can hop off. But our story is extremely important. Stories are remembered 22 times more than facts. Okay, so if you want to change the world, you got to share a better story. So there's a much more higher possibility that someone's going to share your story, that they're going to share the ULT facts. If they hear your story, I was able to transform my finances, I quit my architecture job, now I'm one of the top leaders and earners of the company, I moved to a nice house, I blah, blah, blah. Like, people are going to remember my story. I was struggling, blah, 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 versus, oh yeah, I joined this business for $199. And you know, like, you go to Purium enrollment and this, like, people don't remember those facts. So everybody loves a good story. And this is why authors sell millions and millions of books. This is why screenwriters make millions of dollars selling their scripts. And this is why the best network marketers on the planet use stories to improve their branding and their sales. So story sells, facts tell. Every great story has a conflict or a pain. And the conflict and the pain makes it relatable. And we also share the solution to the conflict and the pain. And then we share how we feel about the future. And I'm going to teach you guys how to break it down very quickly. Okay, so our stories have 4 parts. Part number 1 is your background. And your background, it's one word. Like, sometimes I say, I am an architect. Sometimes I say, I am an immigrant. Sometimes I say, I am a perfectionist in recovery. Sometimes it depends who you're talking to, but your background is one word. It's not a testament. Part number 2, what didn't you like about your background? We always want to share up to 3 facts. What didn't you like about your background? I didn't like that I worked 120 hours a week. I didn't get to visit my family. And I didn't have purpose. Or I didn't like that I had to wake up to alarm clock. Think of 3 things that you didn't like about your background. I crafted my story. I even hired another expert to help me craft the story, and I'm still crafting my story to today. And my story changed so many times. Every time I do this exercise, my story gets better. So don't worry if your story doesn't sound amazing. This is why you're going to repeat it 50 to 100 times to your partner, to the mirror. Ideally, you want to repeat it to a person. So what didn't you like about your background? 3 things. Then you found a solution. So that's step number 3, a solution. And in the solution, my friend introduced me to this business opportunity. Never saw myself doing it, but I give it a chance. My partner, my best friend shared with me this opportunity that transformed my life. You don't want to say Purium, you don't want to say network marketing, you want to say an opportunity, because an opportunity creates curiosity. Okay, if you're killing the curiosity, then they're not going to be that interested to ask you more, because they already said that it's Purium. And that should be like a sentence or two, no more than that. Your story should be under 2 minutes. So that means that you don't have that much time to talk a lot. And number 4 is, how do you feel about the future? And number 4, you're pretty much going to reverse the 3 things that you didn't like to what you now like. I didn't have time to see my family. Now I get to travel and see my family whenever I like to. I used to work long hours. Now I get to pick when I work. I was crying with no purpose going to work. Now I see myself mentoring thousands of people around the world. So just invert the 3 negatives to 3 positives. Okay, so it has to be a circle. Don't introduce something new. I didn't have time to be with my children. Now I get to go to the park every single day with my children. So whatever was negative now is positive. So that's a formula. Does anybody want to share anything? Does anybody want to share what's your background? I want us to share a little bit.
I can share.
Can I share? Just,
Yeah, JP
I don't want to
first.
share. I don't want to share my story. I just want to share something about stories. I've been working with a lot of people about telling stories, and I've worked so much with people to the point where like they know all the components, but it just they never can say it properly. And so I work with my team a lot on this. And so this first assignment of saying it 50 to 100 times, I just want to say that it's necessary. Even if you think that it's not, it's necessary. I work with people that don't say it 50 to 100 times, and it's almost like after a year, they still don't know their story.
Thank you, Ra. That's really true. JP, you wanted to share your background?
Yeah. And I will also kind of piggyback off of that. Is I've been working on my story since last December, since I took GoPro, and it's constantly evolved. And the other night I was having some just like real downloads about it. And so these things happen, you know, it takes time and they evolve. But my background is being a builder. Like, that's my background.
Cool. I love that. Thank you, JP. And you see how JP said he's a builder? Guess what? All builders can relate. Building a car, building a bicycle, building a business, building whatever, building a bed, building furniture. Literally anybody can relate. So when you share your background in a way that everyone can relate. So instead of saying, oh, I'm a mom, say I'm a parent. Because a mom is only relatable to moms, but being a parent relates to mom and dads, right? I don't use I'm an architect when I share my story, because everybody that I talk to is not an architect. So guess what? Nobody's gonna be able to relate with me. So sometimes I say I'm an immigrant. Sometimes I say I'm a perfectionist in recovery. When I talk to people that I know, they're very like their Instagram looks so perfectly neat and beautiful, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a perfectionist in recovery, because they know they're perfectionists too. I can see it on their Instagram. So whoever you're talking to, your background might change. We have many different backgrounds. Sometimes I say I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a student. So whoever you're talking to, your background will be different. But for now, for the sake of this exercise, think maybe I'm a personal trainer. I'm a retired business owner. I'm a retired salesperson, not a retail sales rep. You know, I'm a retired salesperson. So all salespeople can relate to you. Does anybody wants to share 3 things you didn't like about your background? Yes, William.
Yeah, I was a plumber and I didn't like I didn't have any passion in it, and the people that did it were just super boring, and then there was hardly anybody that I was around. So people that I was around were just super boring in my life. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much. I love how it's so simple. 3 things. I can still remember what he said. If we add more than 3 things, I will forget it. Thank you, William. Anybody else want to share 3 things that you didn't like about your background? Okay. Does anybody want to share how you found a solution? Come on, guys. We're all leaders here.
I can share, Seema.
Yes, Yadi.
My solution was that my friend introduced me to this opportunity during the pandemic. So I jumped on it because there was so much uncertainty.
I love it. You guys should write that down. If you came in the pandemic, that is the perfect wording. It was so much uncertainty. I couldn't go back to work. So I needed to create money from home. But do you guys hear how Yadi was 1 sentence? It wasn't this whole narrative. Yadi, can you repeat part 1, 2, and 3 together?
Like the
Your
first
background, the 3 things that you didn't like in the.
Yeah. So my background is I was in logistics. The 3 things that I didn't like about it, I was always stressed. I didn't have time for my family, and I never took vacation. So my friend introduced me to this opportunity during the pandemic, and I jumped on it because there was so much uncertainty.
I love that. Can you now repeat it all as if you were telling a prospect without saying, oh, this is my background? Like if you were actually prospecting someone, sharing those 3 things.
So I was always working in logistics for about 4 years. And I was always stressed out. I always found myself stressed out. I never had time for my family. I never even took PTO because I was too invested in my job. But then the pandemic hit, and my friend introduced me to this opportunity that I just had to jump on because there was so much uncertainty.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Guys, you hear that? It's so simple and it sounds so appealing. Sometimes when we're sharing our story, we so overcomplicate it that we even lose the person.
There has to be a fish there because look at the ripples.
Oh. Gotta be a fish there, Joe. That's cute. Does anybody want to share the solution? Okay. So how do you see the next part? How do you feel about the future? The 3 things that were negative, now reverse them and make them positive. Yadi, since we're working with you, so how do you see yourself in the future? Making those 3 negative things positive. You had no PTO, no time.
Yeah, so now I see my future stress-free. I'm able to control my stress levels more. I am now able to hang out with my family whenever I want to. And I can make time for me and enjoy some vacation when I need to.
I love that. See, she literally grabbed the 3 negative things and now made them positive. Now I'm curious, like, I want to know more about that opportunity your friend introduced you because I want to have more vacation. I want to be stress-free. I want to spend more time with my family. So this is the whole point of our story, to create curiosity so people can ask us a little bit more. And if they don't ask us a little bit more, at least they know what we're doing. And sooner than later, they will be interested. Does anybody have any questions so far? Does anybody want to share the full story?
Also, guys, notice how like when she shares, especially when it's either you're in front of a camera, or you're talking to someone face to face, like she's very expressive. Like she's just like, oh, she wasn't like, oh, I used to be in like logistics. Like, no, like she was like very like hands-on. Like she's very expressive. And that's how you also like catch on to people. Like that's how you attract people, the way you speak to them, like your eyebrows, raising your eyebrows, and doing that kind of thing. Like that has a lot to do with it. That takes skill as well. It takes practice. So feel a little bit more comfortable with playing with that too.
Yeah, thank you, Melly. I love that you said that, because it's super important that we play with our voice too. And this is just advanced skills. You also might want to add a story, a 10-second story to one of your pain points. I was very stressed. I remember one day when I was in my bedroom and I had a panic attack and my skin started sweating. I started to break down. I couldn't hold on my breath. You want to take people into the room. So if you want to expand your story and make it a little bit more bonding and connecting, add a little story in one of your pain points. And that story should make the other person emotional. And the way that you do that is also by your sharing. Take breaths. When you're talking, take breath. We don't just talk, I'm an immigrant and I came to this country for the American dream and I have a lot of ambitions to become the first child in my family, to become, blah, blah, blah. Like there isn't time for people to digest what I'm saying. So you want to take a lot of breaths. It's something really common that we do is not taking breath when we speak. And the breath allows people to digest what we're saying. So any other questions? And we've noticed that 90 minutes is not enough time. So our next call, we're not going to put a time cap. It's going to be 2 hours or 3 hours, however we need to cover the subject. So it's just so you guys know, October 2nd and November 6th, it starts at 11 and it will take us as much as we need to cover the subject that we need to cover for that day. All right. Let me stop the recording.